How's it going, everybody? My name is Adrian Palau, and welcome to Gaucho Sports Roundup, your one-stop shop for your weekly GCC, college, and pro sports news. My name is Adrian Palau. Seth Askelson is not here with me today, so let's get things started. First off, with GCC sports. Talking about GCC volleyball right now, they suffered their first loss of the season to Division I opponent Snow College. They went 3-1 in the Coyotes Classic in Nevada, beating teams such as Utah State Eastern, Colby College, and Southern Idaho. You can catch the Gauchos in action this Friday at home against Mesa at 7 p.m. They face off against South Mountain tonight, Wednesday the 23rd, on the road. They enter into the game at 12-1, ranked second in the nation only behind the national champs Parkland, as they look to continue their season moving forward. Now moving on to GCC football, their record is now standing at 2-2, following a heartbreaking loss last Saturday to the Bears of Phoenix College by a score of 31-30. The Gauchos let up a 13-point lead going into the last quarter of play that was capped off with a game-winning touchdown by Quentin Garrett of the Bears. Only 25 seconds left on the clock for that touchdown, and the Gauchos lose their second straight. Gauchos running back Javian Roebuck, however, had a good day with 101 yards and a touchdown, including a 54-yard run in the first quarter that was for that score. Deontay Manlove and Peter Mitchell of the Gauchos both had an INT on Saturday to cap off what was an overall dismal performance for the Gauchos last Saturday. They take on the Thunderbirds of Mesa in what will be a hard test on the road. They enter the contest at 2-1 following an impressive victory over Snow College on the road 33-19, their only loss being to the Phoenix College Bears. Now moving on to soccer. First, we're going to talk about the women and their performance in the last couple of weeks. They won at home over the Thunderbirds of Mesa 1-0. Yilma Lopez with a 67th minute goal that capped off that win. However, they lost on the road to Pima 2-0 with their offense struggling to get anything going, only 4 total shots on the day. They then went on to win on the road over the Cougars of South Mountain 4-0. Lindsay Velasco with all 4 goals in that match, her last one being in the 86th minute. They then went home where they lost to the Artichokes of Scottsdale by a score of 3-2. And the Artichokes' Amanda Greifel's hat trick proved to be too much for the Gauchos, scoring 3 goals in that match. They will have 2 home games this week. They will take on the Bears of Phoenix College Thursday, that being tomorrow, and this Saturday they will take on Arizona Western. Their record into those matches stands at 4-5. All right, heading on over to the men, we had a heartbreaker to Mesa in double overtime that ended in a score of 3-2 in the Thunderbirds' favor off the header of Benji Delgadillo. James Jones and Gerardo Rodriguez picking up goals for the Gauchos in the heartbreaking loss. They went on again to lose on the road to Pima by a score of 5-4. Hector Benegas picking up 2 goals for Pima in that action. They then won on the road to South Mountain where they picked up a victory 7-0. Selemani Baruwani and Sergio Parra Lopez each picking up 2 goals for the Gauchos in that incredible victory. They then went home where they beat the Artichokes of Scottsdale 3-0, Baruwani picking up 2 goals in the game, bringing his team high total to 13 goals this season, the 4th highest in the nation. They enter into their next contest Thursday against Phoenix College with a 4-1 record, that one being a tie. And they also play against Arizona Western on Saturday, who is the very team they tied against at the start of the season. They tied that game 2-2. Moving on over to college football, we had a lot of action in college football this past weekend, and we're going to talk about it right now. The Crimson Tide of Alabama beats number 19, the Ole Miss Rebels, following a deficit at the half. Final score of that game was 48-43, and the Crimson Tide remains number 1 in the nation. Number 10, Louisville destroyed number 2, Florida State, by the score of 63-20. Number 3, Ohio State, the Buckeyes, they beat Oklahoma by a score of 45-24. Number 12, Michigan State beat number 18, Notre Dame by a score of 36-28. And FCS powerhouse North Dakota State upsets number 13, Iowa by a score of 23-21, which begs the question, why are these FBS teams even scheduling North Dakota State when they just know that they're going to put up a fight each and every year? This team has won their division for the past 3 years now. So it's a wonder why they would even bother to schedule them on their team. All right, moving over to the Pac-12, we had ASU beat UTSA on the road 32-28. However, the Roadrunners put up a really good fight. The Sun Devils were down by 16 points at a point in the second half. However, a Kalen Balaj touchdown with less than 3 minutes left was good enough for the win. Manny Wilkins, the quarterback for the Sun Devils, with 264 yards and 2 touchdowns on the day. The Buffaloes of Colorado lost to number 4 Michigan on the road 45-28, despite leading 21-7 after the first quarter of play. Sifo Lufau, however, had a good game with 3 touchdowns on the day, however, is not good enough to pick up the win at the Big House in Michigan. The Trojans of USC lost to Stanford 27-10 behind Christian McCaffrey's 172 rushing yards, making his early claim for the Heisman Trophy as conference play gets started. Washington took care of FCS opponent Portland State 41-3, with Jake Browning passing for 4 touchdowns in a Huskies victory. The California Golden Bears upset number 11 Texas 50-43. Davis Webb of the Bears hit Chad Hansen with a touchdown pass with less than 4 minutes left in what would be Webb's 4th touchdown pass of the day. A rushing touchdown by Cal's Vic Anwari would have really sealed the deal late on in the fourth quarter. However, he dropped the ball at the 1, so it was a no-go on that touchdown. However, Cal still picked up the victory. Once again, final score, 50-43. The Oregon Ducks lost their ranking this past weekend following a loss to the now number 20 team in the nation, the Nebraska Cornhuskers. Another piece of bad news for the Ducks, they also lose their Olympic sprinter and wide receiver Devin Allen for the season due to an ACL tear suffered at the hands of the Nebraska Cornhuskers. Tommy Armstrong for the Huskers with 3 touchdowns passing. The Washington State Cougars handled Idaho 56-6, their quarterback Luke Falk with 3 passing touchdowns. Beavers of Oregon State beat FCS opponent Idaho State by a score of 37-7. The 4 interceptions thrown by Idaho State's quarterback Tanner Guler might have had something to do with the Beaver victory. Once again, final score 37-7. The Bruins of UCLA just barely edged out a win over BYU 17-14. The Bruins quarterback Josh Rosen with over 300 yards passing, which more than certainly made up for Nate Stark's bad day running the ball with only 30 yards on 15 attempts rushing. The Utes of Utah beat San Jose State and the Trojans 34-17. Tim Patrick was the leading receiver for the Utes with 121 yards and a touchdown reception. And the Wildcats of Arizona beat Hawaii at home by a score of 47-28. Running back J.J. Taylor with 168 yards and a score for the Wildcats in what was an overall good game for Arizona. So let's take a look at what's going on this week in college football. We have the Trojans of USC taking on number 24 Utah in Salt Lake City. We have AJ Styles' favorite team, number 12, the Georgia Bulldogs, taking on Ole Miss. They are number 23 in the nation. We've got a big home game for the Spartans of Michigan State as their number 8th ranked team will take on the number 11 ranked team, the Wisconsin Badgers. We have the number 19 Florida Gators taking on number 14 Tennessee Volunteers. That match will take place in Tennessee. We've got the number 7 Stanford with Christian McCaffrey at their helm paying visit to unranked, UCLA. The Bruins unranked at this point of the season, and they will look to get the victory inside the Rose Bowl as conference play starts to get heated up. And we have the number 9 Washington Huskies paying a visit to Tucson. They will take on the Arizona Wildcats. That will be a night game this past Saturday. Not this upcoming Saturday, I should say. All right, and keeping on with the theme of football, we got Cardinals action to talk about. This past weekend, they beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers by a score of 40-7. Former Florida State quarterback Jameis Winston threw 4 interceptions in what was a great defensive game and a much-needed win after the loss to a Tom Brady and Rob Gronkowski-less Patriots team last week. Carson Palmer also had 308 yards passing and 3 touchdowns, including a 51-yarder to Jerron Brown in the second quarter of that game. New team addition and DB Marcus Cooper introduced himself to the Cardinal faithful very well with 2 interceptions and a dinker that he caught for a 60-yard touchdown interception return. They will take on the 0-2 Buffalo Bills next week in Buffalo, following their disappointing 37-31 loss over the Jets. Now talking about the Diamondbacks and the MLB, going into the home stretch of the MLB regular season, here are the team leaders for the Diamondbacks, even though they probably will not be making the playoffs. Yasmani Tomas has recorded a successful sophomore season, hitting 29 home runs thus far. He leads the team with that record. Jake Lamb, the young third baseman, leads the team in RBIs with 88 to his name. And Gene Segura has done a good job at the leadoff position for the D-backs, leading the team in both average with a .318 batting average and his 190 hits. That also leads the team. However, Captain Paul Goldschmidt's on-base percentage of .413 is incredibly impressive, and that just goes to show you how much the pitchers respect Paul's skill at the plate. They would have hoped for a better debut season, however, from their big signing, Zach Greinke. His 12-7 record might look okay, but it does not tell the story of his .442 ERA. Certainly a thing to work on with their entire pitching staff in general during this upcoming offseason. They'll finish out this long road trip before closing out the season at home against the Padres. Right now, their record stands at 63-88. All right, talking about the World Cup of Hockey that's going on, both Team Canada and Team Europe have already qualified for the knockout stage in Group A, following Canada's beating of the United States earlier on in the week. Team Sweden have advanced from Group B, with either Team North America or Team Russia advancing with them. If Russia beats Finland tomorrow night, then they will advance due to having beaten Team North America earlier on in the tournament. Any other result, however, would put Team North America through. All right, that's going to do it today for Gaucho Sports Roundup. I have been Adrian Palayo, along with Seth Askelson, who wasn't here today. So be sure to stay tuned. Every single week, we'll be bringing you Gaucho Sports Roundup. Be sure to follow The Voice at GCC on Twitter and Facebook. Be sure to follow me on Twitter at AZPalayo21. And we'll see you guys later. This has been Gaucho Sports Roundup.